Hey guys, Editing Joker here, and before we start the actual video, just wanted to remind everyone that I am doing another Q&A video. Here's the thumbnail for it. I'll have the link in the description and one of those card things that are in the corner of the video. I don't know what they're called. But if you want to ask me some questions, learn a little bit more about me as a person, you don't have to, but I'm opening it up to the field for you guys to pretty much go wild and ask me anything that's not disturbingly so spicy it belongs in the deep web. But yeah, just want to keep that in mind. I will be taking questions for the next week or so, and then I will record myself answering them probably the start of next week, next Monday, technically, I guess, is how we'll put that. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Put them in the comment section of that specific video. Don't put them literally everywhere because I'm not going to find them all. Please go on to that video that I put in the description and all that. But yeah, let's move on to your regularly scheduled content now. Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video and the new, Grinning Mayhem Succubus Violet has arrived, and she seems to be decently good. She is another support unit, but she does have, I think, a lot more viability outside of this team than, say, Valentine does. So let's take a look at what she does first off from her banner details. So, let's see. Ult damage, she is 300% AoE up to 600 for her EX. She gives you 10 skill points on her ult, which you would think would be pretty good until you realize that, like, you get the 10 points after you ult. So if you're looking for that 10 skill points to get you to over that hump to use another skill on the nuke turn, you'd have to use it a turn early, right? Because if you're going to nuke with Violet, use all the skills, and nuke with Guy or whoever, then the extra skill points don't actually do anything for you because you're nuking already and you've used the skills necessary. So the 10 points is, if you get Violet's ult early and you know you need 10 extra points, then you use it early. And then you just get those 10 free points, and then you're ready, I guess, the following turn to do it. So it seems okay on paper. In practice, not really as useful. I mean, I guess she's an AoE, so you're not going to do too much damage with her, I guess. I don't really know. It's kind of a waste. I would have preferred that to be like extra crit damage or crit resistance down or something. Something more useful for the damage output of the primary unit, right? So that's the ult. Her skills. We knew her first skill from the skill teaser earlier this morning. It's fairly good. So she lowers ult damage resistance by up to 55% at level 10, which is really good because Light Raphael did 50%. She's going 5% more, which, more is better, right? And anyone can use that. Anybody can benefit from ult resistance down because it just means that your ult will hit harder, and it doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you're physical, doesn't matter if you're magic, doesn't matter if you're dark, light, or whatever, you will just do more damage on your ult. So that's universal right there. The second part is physical characters crit damage by 40%. So that is a little bit more specific, but since all three of the EX metas that have come out are physical based, I mean, it does work well with them. There are still a lot of good physical units outside of that. EX Hinata will definitely benefit from this skill, specifically this skill right here, which I will show off during the showcase for Violet. You just need someone to give her crit, which thankfully Guy can do that, right? So she can work. If you're not using a physical team, obviously you're still going to benefit from the 55% ult resistance down, but at that point, would it be better to just bring somebody else for your team? It's kind of up to you. If you don't have any physical characters, then I really can't recommend summoning for her. Like, she is an AoE unit, she is a support unit, right? She is not as limited as Valentine is, because Valentine is very gimmicky, and she only buffs 2 specific teams for her attack buff. And then she has the whole extra protection gauge thing, bobber. Guy is also a good support unit, but he's single target, right? And he will benefit from this skill on both fronts, on top of his own buff, on top of his giving people crit, which then you would get 40% crit damage. And it's good to note that because this is a temporary crit damage buff, it will stack with the new free-to-play Dark Shion's permanent crit damage buff. So if you get 3 stacks of Shion, that's 15% crit. You use Violet's skill, and that's 40. You're now at, 55% crit damage right there? It does work like that. Unfortunately, if you're using, like, the EX Milim from the Fantasy team, because her skill is temporary crit buff, this skill is temporary crit buff, they will not go together, so it'll just choose whatever crit buff is higher, and that's probably going to be Milim's. So there's not really a good point to bring her on the World of Fantasy, or the, Fantasy team. Moving on, surprisingly, they gave her a very good second skill, which is the Orb Steal, just like the free-to-play Water Rimuru has, that makes him really, really good. Also the same as the Light 3.0 Milim that I was previously using on this team, because she gave an attack buff and she had the Orb Stealing skill. So I could just now instantly swap out this Milim for this Violet, because they have the same exact Orb Stealing skill, good for the blue team, and this skill is inherently more powerful than Light Milim's straight up 45% attack buff for this team, because no one is Light that I'm using as DPS as far as I'm concerned. So we weren't really benefiting from that too much. So it works out. This is actually a very good kit. And then her Valor trait, she seals battle skills, which can be useful. There are many, many battle skills now running around. There's lots of cheap ones like Violet, Velzard, Yuki's. Those are pretty common. So it's not the worst Valor skill in the world. It's still, I don't think, as good as sealing magic-changing skills like Rimuru and Yuki do, because the hero's Rewind is really, really big, Orb Changing is really, really big, but it's still a pretty good skill, and there are much worse ones that they could give her. Her character actual trait is... it's okay. When you unleash a 6 combo of blues, you increase your own crit damage by 8 up to 12% in the next turn. She's not built to be your primary DPS, but she's also not built to be a support slot unit, where you could give another unit this 8% crit damage. So it's pretty not a great trait, right? So dupes, I think, are very unnecessary for her. So if you pull her on your first multi, which I've seen a lot of people do, just get out. Take your W and leave, because that's about it. If you get her up to 120 for some god reason, because you love Violet, you get another 20%. And then her EX board also needs Rimuru, which means that every single character released for this meta needs Rimuru to get their EX board, which can only lead to a 99.9999% assumption that whatever next banner, whenever that comes, is going to be a Rimuru, and is probably going to be a single target Rimuru. It's probably going to be an Earth Rimuru. A physical single target Earth Rimuru is in the books, essentially, right now. And if it doesn't end up being that, and it ends up being some stupid Valor Ranga or something, then God help the intern that made that decision, because I will personally storm Bandai Namco headquarters and throw him off the roof. Anyways, and then she's also a team buffer for her EX board with physical character slots. So, her skill set is really good for blue-focused teams, and her single skill right here, it's very expensive. This is a very expensive team, as with both of the stacking EX metas are concerned. But it is very powerful if you can activate both items. The universal alt damage down is good, but the physical character's crit damage, that's pretty big. And since Guy is giving physical characters crit, you put those together and you're pretty set right there. Plus you're getting the extra 80% alt damage. So she seems pretty good. Her banner, I don't know why I closed that. I could have just zoomed down. Also has the Warrior's Mind people, so Yuki, Daggerel, Carrion, Ranga. Meh. Okay. Meh. Good for Valor Cup. Very good for Valor Cup, but outside of that, not really that useful. It's not the worst banner in the world, but there are a few units that you could pass on and you shouldn't feel too bad about. Apart from that, I mean, it's not bad. I feel like she can bring a lot of value if you have a lot of physical EX characters. Like if you've been summoning for Fount of Wisdom, like if you have EX Hinata, she's probably a very good pick for her because her ult resistance down will stack with Diablo's since Diablo's is permanent. She is not that good for Fantasy Milim though because their crit damage will overlap and cancel each other out. So not really a good pick for that. But as far as like should you summon for her, if you have Velzard, if you have Guy, and you're like, man, do I need Valentine? Do I need Violet? All these characters starting with V's are releasing this meta for some reason, I just noticed now. I would say hold off, because we mostly know that Rimuru is coming. And there's a lot of support units building up for this Rimuru, just like there was a lot of support units building up for EX Hinata. And when EX Hinata came out, she turned Inferno 3 beatdown battle from like, oh my god, this is so hard, to oh my god, this took 2 minutes and it's a fucking joke, right? Hinata had her own alt buff, which we don't need because Guy is doing that. She had her own attack buff, which is technically for the entire team, which is 60%. That's really good. I don't see why they couldn't do that here. Because Valentine's doing physical attack. So it's in the cards for this Rimuru to, at bare minimum, do a self-attack buff or a team attack buff, and then have some other skill that makes him really, really godly DPS. It's in the cards. Trust. Trust, alright? Please. I've played this game for a long time. I can feel it in my bones. So, if you have Velzard, if you have Guy, you should probably wait. Because Rimuru is probably going to be really, really good. And there are enough support units in this game already where having or not having Violet will only truly make a difference for Jubilee. And that is literally one stage out of the entire game that lasts for a week. Not really that important. There are other units that can buff up other units just as well. Maybe not quite as good, but they will do fine without having Violet. Valentine, easily the worst unit of the batch right now. And then Violet, and then Guy. And then Velzard's a protector and she's her own tier. But if you are like on the fence, like if you don't have anybody from this meta, I would probably keep summoning for Velzard and Guy because it's a triple banner and it's got the most value. But if you have Guy, you have Velzard, I would honestly probably wait, hold your crystals, and wait for this Rimuru that should come out. Unless you really, really, really love Violet, in which case you've probably already summoned, so I don't know why you're watching this goddamn video in the first place. But that's my opinion. I used her for a little bit on the stream. She seems very good. She seems like a very powerful asset to the team, but replaceable for less powerful but still effective units. So, wouldn't call her necessary, would call her a very good-looking character with a good kit, but again, not necessary unless you were trying to be a sweaty tryhard in Jubilee. Most people are not. So, that's my opinion. Probably a safe skip for now. Wait until everybody from the meta is out, then make your decision. I think that's the safest way to go, so you're not erroneously spending crystals on stupid things like you only have enough for 2 multis and you spend them on this and Rimuru comes out and he's really good and you're like, ah shit, I could have got him in 2 multis there, right? But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think of this Violet. Let me know how your summons went. Were you part of those very lucky motherfuckers that I see in my Discord that got them on their first multi or their 10% ticket if you bought it? Or did you have to go to Simpland and go 200 pity for her? Let me know. But that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.